Okay, good evening, everyone. We have a handful of people coming in. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight for one-to-one devices and Schoology, a parent workshop to talk about strategies for supporting both of these initiatives in our school district. My name is Kelly Hilton. I'm a coordinator of instructional technology, and I'm here with my friend Christopher George.
Hi, everybody.
So thank you all for joining us. If you're just coming in, we'd love to invite you to introduce yourself in the chat. Just start by sharing maybe which school site you have students at or what age level or grades your students are, so we can kind of customize this workshop to meet some of the questions and needs that you may have. We'd love to see that. Thanks for joining us. So we do have a presentation to go through tonight, and in the presentation, excellent. Thank you, Sally, for getting that started. I'm also going to drop in the chat a link to the slides. That way, if you feel like following along in another tab, or you just want to follow along with the recording, you can as well. But welcome. Thank you, Jen Walsh, daughter at Monte Vista Senior. Lucas, thank you so much for joining us. We are happy to connect with you guys. Also on the slides, you can kind of see an overview or an agenda of what we're going to be discussing. And now joining us is our third party, Greg Pitzer, Director of Technology. So he'll be here to support any questions that we have as well. If you notice on the slides, the first slide has direct links to emails for all three of us, as we have been working in collaboration to support this one-to-one initiative and Schoology rollout. And we're going to be talking about both of those. I'm going to invite Christopher to start with a little discussion on a little background with Schoology and where we started at the end of last year and how that's led us to this year.
All right. Thank you, Kelly. Thanks, everybody. And thanks for joining us tonight. We know it's not easy to get out at nighttime and to get to a 5:30 webinar, but we are really appreciative that you're here. My name is Christopher George. I'm one of the directors of instruction, more on the secondary side. And we have been working with Schoology throughout the year. I just want to give you a little bit of background about where we are right now and where we came from. The quick pitch on how we got to Schoology is that in the summer of 2020, we knew things were changing for the digital world and education, and they were changing fast, as you recall. What we saw was a lot of districts around us making very quick decisions to launch a software that might or may not work, and we were seeing some quick and not so great decisions for kids being made. Mr. Pitzer, our director of technology, wisely convinced everybody that we needed to wait and slow down. And we did that. And we took the 2020-21 school year while things were chaotic and remote. And we led a selection committee of about 60 people, parents, administrators, teachers, staff members, counselors, classified staff members, all sorts of stakeholders to go through the different learning management systems out there. We put bids out. We whittled it down from 13 to 4 candidates. And from 4 candidates, we went through an extensive finalist phase where we tried the software with a pilot group of teachers and kids. And then we eventually came to a consensus around Schoology. So we eventually came to the consensus around Schoology, and sorry.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. And began the implementation and the training right after that in April. That was all described. That process is pretty extensively described in our March 30th, 2021 board meeting. I believe it's the 30th of March, and can be accessed online. So if you're curious, there's a presentation on that board meeting that you can access. Since then, we have been working very hard to implement Schoology. It has been bumpy at times, as you may know, and you may have heard from staff. And that's due to a lot of factors. One, it's a learning management system. There are over 75,000 new users, and teaching 75,000 people to use software in a different way at one time instructionally is no easy task. We anticipated a year-long selection process, a year-long kind of introductory phase with this, and we are on track for that. When we compare ourselves to other districts who've implemented Schoology, we're right where we need to be. Teachers are using exactly the features they should be using around November of their first year. It's very basic usage at this point, but we are anticipating that throughout the year we will be learning together, and for many years to come, we'll be figuring out how to make this learning management system work for the strategic plan that we've implemented this year, and really work for that deep learning and innovation. Schoology, we think, will offer us a lot of space for collaboration with kids, for new ways of demonstrating what kids have learned. And as we get past the basic phases, we hope you'll start to see that, and we hope our staff will start to see that. We have to acknowledge that it has been a little bumpier than we anticipated for staff, but that's the story of the whole year. I don't think anybody really anticipated that this year would be as hard as it is. For our staff and for our students and for you as parents, and we know that. And as a result, we've had to, adjust our plan several times, and we've had to really recognize that teachers are working so hard, and the great teachers that we have in the San Ramon Valley Unified School District are doing everything they can to just swim with the world right now, and we commend them. This has been an added layer to them. There's no question about that. If we'd have known how the year would have gone, we may have had a different answer, or we may have faced this in differently. However, given that we did, we are very proud of the teachers and where they are right now. And we know it's hard, but they are right where we need it to be, as are the kids. So I am going to hand it back to Kelly. I'm trying to think of what else to share with you, but I can share that just on Tuesday, Kelly pretty much put together pretty much single-handedly gathered 40 trainers to work with staff throughout the afternoon on that professional development day. And staff throughout the district at most of our schools, I'm going to say 26 to 27 of our sites, joined us to work on Schoology training, help, and support. And the schools that weren't able to join us on Tuesday will be joining us on a different day, and we'll be providing that training for them on a different day. So all that, just as a background and where we are now, and I will hand it back to Kelly, and we are just thrilled you're here, and we'll see you at the question and answer portion. Thanks.
Thank you so much. That was a great overview, and you just did such a great job at the comprehensive piece that's happening in the district right now. We're in the business of learning, so there's a lot of learning happening as far as everyone, students, teachers, parents, all stakeholders are invested in learning these resources and tools. I have turned off my cell phone. I apologize for those interruptions while you were talking. And I'm really excited to just share some resources with you tonight and partner with you on talking about how we can use these digital tools to really leverage all of our learning. So if you want to follow along, I've already dropped the slides in the chat, but they're also, you'll notice at the top, it says bit.ly, bit.ly /SRVUSD parent guide. If you put that in your Omnibar, you can follow along as well. So what we're going to do tonight, here's our contact information. And thank you to those of you who shared a little bit about yourself in the chat. It helps us to know who's in the room with us. We're happy you're here. I see a handful of high school parents and virtual academy and some primary parents. So we're here to serve all of you. And if you need to contact us directly after this webinar, our resources are here on this slide. The other thing I just wanted to start off with tonight is that we are here and we're going to be talking about all these different things tonight. And this resource, and I know for myself as a learner, I can't take everything in all the time at once. So these slides are meant for you to be able to go back and access at any time. And if you use this slide and you click on any one of those topics, then you would have an opportunity to see directly what you're looking for. It's sort of like a tutorial there for you right there on the slide deck. this is what we're going to talk about tonight. So the first thing, I just want to always set a framework for the bigger picture of what we're trying to do here in San Ramon. And you may or may not have been or heard about the strategic directions and some of the teaching and learning that we're working on as a community. So what we've done is we're shared like a 3 to 5 year plan of the strategic directions that have a focus on deep learning and innovation, equity, and social and emotional well-being when it comes to teaching and learning. So as we're talking about technology and one-to-one devices and Schoology, we are trying to keep in mind that these are our bigger goals with using these tools, because the tools are just one part of it, but the teaching and the learning and the outcome and the well-being of our students is what the big picture is with all of this work that we're doing together. So what that means for technology integration, and since I work on the instructional side of technology, I'm really focusing on having conversations on leveraging the digital resources and in the classroom. And so when you're looking at that or talking to your students about that as well, we're looking at trying to design, facilitated, amplified, and accelerated experiences where the technology is allowing the students to engage in learning in this way, and that it's student driven. Now, keep in mind, this is a goal, but this is where we are headed. And with that, we have a really supportive community that has set us up with a lot of tools to leverage digital. The first thing is that in TK to first grade, in every TK to first grade classroom, you will notice that we have one-to-one iPads for students that stay in the classroom that are set up. And also there's an access to a tool called Seesaw, which is a really powerful teaching and learning tool that supports those strategies that I was just discussing, like amplifying student voice. Also, you'll notice in 2nd through 12th grade, we have incredible access to the Google Suite, which is a really collaborative and creative resource, as well as Chromebooks in every classroom. So just right there, it's exciting to see that our students have these resources. I'm just listing at the bottom of these slides a lot of other tools that are that amplify student voice and encourage creativity in order to get to that deeper learning that have been purchased and are available to all students and teachers in the school district. So it's really exciting to see this this support. And I know we used technology a lot last year because we had to. And now we're hopefully looking forward to continuing to build off of that and really use it to create those deep learning experiences for students. So where does Schoology fit in? Schoology is kind of that learning management hub that sits right there overall. In fact, Chris and Greg and I have had so many conversations about how to support this rollout. And, like Chris mentioned, we can't believe we're really have about almost 100,000 people utilizing this tool, because parents, counselors, teachers, students, all staff are using this because it's our new learning management system. And what that means is it's a communication tool. It's used for teaching and learning. It's used to show progress. And there's so many layers to it, and it's really multifaceted. And so we're going to dive into some ways that you might want to use it as a parent, but also just keeping in mind that when the teacher has their hat on with utilizing Schoology, it's for teaching and learning. And when an administrator is utilizing Schoology, it's for, connecting with a school site and having conversations around teaching and learning. So it's very exciting that we have all of this in place. I just feel like blessed to be around such a supportive community. Really quickly, I want to take a step back to when you registered for school back in August. You probably signed a student technology agreement, or your student did. And sometimes it's helpful to go back and just take a look at those. And we have one that is specific to each grade level. So those have been shared. That was kind of the beginning of the rollout. We've been having conversations around digital citizenship because we really want to help a healthy relationship with technology that is amplifying student voices and encouraging creativity. And digital citizenship is almost the same as citizenship in a classroom, but can require a few more conversations with students. So there's some resources here that you can dive into yourself, or have conversations with your child based on the age of your child. If you're looking for some resources, that's shared here. And then this next slide here is just sharing some resources on device care, taking care of these devices. If your child is a ninth grader, the hope is that they would use this Chromebook up until 12th grade. So really taking good care of these new devices that they are transporting to and from school, and just appreciating, that resource. It's like the new textbook in their backpack. So these are just resources for you to dive into or to share with your children if appropriate. This second one is a Google training series, and I find it's really helpful. Even though our kids are really tech savvy, it's really helpful to sit down with them and still show them how to use the tools effectively. So in this junior training series, there's strategies for like managing different apps and calendars and things like that, that probably, as adults we've developed, but can still be integrated into our conversations with our kids. So
hi, and welcome to the
is click on the next slide here, because I want to dive into Schoology at this point. All of those are resources for you. And before we dive into Schoology, let's talk about logging in. Back in August, you should have received an email that invited you to log in. And if you didn't, there's directions for what to do there as well. But that's how our system is set up. And once you're logged in, then you should be able to access your child. And if you have multiple children, access a view of into the digital world and into their classroom and into their progress through Schoology. So each of these slides have little videos for you to go back and watch if you need directions on that. I'm not going to show them, but that's why I'm giving the resources to you, just sort of modeling something that our teachers might do for students as well. So if for some reason you didn't get that email, or you're trying to find your Schoology login, what you can do is follow the directions on the slides that are linked here, because you'll need to reset your password. The important thing to remember is when you go to reset your password, you're going to have to go to app.schoology.com in order to do that. But when you sign in as a parent, when you're all set up, you want to go to srvusd.schoology.com, because we have a premium account with Schoology that provides different features. And so once you're all signed up, you want to have access to all of the premium features that our school district has provided for our families and for our students. The second thing I want to talk about after you've logged in is setting up your Schoology account. Once you're all set up, you can customize it just like many digital tools, with profile pictures, notifications, settings, privacy, and even how often you want to get information from Schoology in regards to your students' progress or things happening at your site or other groups or courses that you're involved in. Now, each of those, these topics are linked to direct instruction, but I'm going to show you a couple of specific ones. I think it's really helpful to take a little time to properly set up your Schoology account, because number one, you want to just make sure that you're informed in the way that you want to be informed. And number two, it can help you stay connected to your child at school. So what I'm going to do before we go to the next slide is I'm going to hop into an account that is a parent Schoology account. And I'm just going to show you a little demo of a couple of things that you might do when you first sign in to Schoology as a parent. And if you haven't done this already, you might want to try it out. So here's my parent account. My parent name is student 11. So we'll just pretend like that says Kelly Hilton, the parent. And my child is student number 1. We'll pretend that says Greg Pitzer, my student, who attends San Ramon Valley High School. Now, if I had another child, that would be listed too. If Christopher George, at Charlotte Wood was listed, I would have that as well. Now, when I'm looking at my parent account and I click on this little arrow, this is the view from myself as a parent. If I click on student one, this is going to show the view from my student. So it's really important to keep that in mind because sometimes it gets confusing at the different views and what you're seeing. Let's go back to my parent account in Schoology, and I can start by setting up my profile. So I click on profile, and one of the first things you can do is edit a photo. I've just added this photo, Schoology for parents, by attaching a download if you have a personal profile picture or something, or you can choose an avatar. That's the first thing. You could also write a little short bio or edit a bio. So this is a demo account. You can include as much or as little information as you are interested in doing, and then just make sure that you save changes. Once you've kind of set up your profile, you'll notice that as a parent, personally, I am signed into a Schoology 101 course as a student. And then I'm also a part of a group called the SRV USD Parent Schoology Group, and we're going to get to that towards the end of the presentation. The next thing you want to do is go back to past your profile and click on settings. And this is where you can set up your account with information. You can include things like notifications. Now, what I love about this feature is that you can click on this section over here where it says send notifications to your phone via text message. Sometimes it's easier to get notifications on our phone than through email. And so if that is a preference for you, you just click right there and you put your cell phone number and your carrier. And whenever you get a notification from Schoology, it will text you. I know some people have been exploring the Schoology app, but I have found that this notification feature, I recommend that highly as far as staying engaged. Another thing that I want you to take a look at is how this is set up for notifications. There's academic, school groups, public groups, school updates, and personal. So in all of these features, it starts with, do you want an email on or off or custom? Meaning like, do you want to check in once a week or something like that? And you can decide on the courses that you're a part of. And same with school groups and public groups. Now, one of the things to be aware of is if you turn off, notifications for school groups or something, then they're not going to be able to find you as well when they go to send some communication or add you to a group. You'll be able to find you through a parent, through the courses. But let's say at San Ramon Valley High School, they decided to create a group and invite you to it. It'll be difficult for them to find your name. So being careful with some of those notifications, just leave it on unless you're getting too many of them. So you'll want to check that out, that section, and just really set up your profile for the way that works for you. Okay, so after taking a look at the profile and notifications, I want to invite you to take a look at the next slide if you're looking at them, but I'm going to stay here in Schoology and just talk you through my child's courses. So I'm going to go back to my child now and take a look at their courses. So this student is enrolled in 2 courses, Digital Integrations in Schoology and Schoology 101s. But if you have a 9th grader, it's going to have at least 6 courses or 5 courses. It'll have like foods, PE, English, math, social studies. And each of those tiles is for each course. Now, when you click on the course, you're looking at it through the student view. So you can see, and it says right here, you are viewing student 1's course. And this is how the teacher has it set up for that student. You can see upcoming assignments that are on the right-hand side here. And if you click here on the calendar, you can see all the assignments listed in a calendar view. This is a nice way to have a checklist for courses. And each course will be listed. Traditionally, they come, sometimes they come in different colors even. Now I'm looking at this as the month. You can also switch it to the week view if that's a better way for you, or the day view when you're working with your student and helping them learn how to navigate this. Now, the way that this works, this calendar works in Schoology, is events are populated within Schoology, such as homework assignments or upcoming events if you're elementary, like Halloween parade, here's a sign-up sheet or something. And they can, if you want to, be exported into a student's Google Calendar if they're already using Google Calendar. And that's just a workflow that they can kind of figure out as they're learning how to organize their digital world. So let's go back to the student view. You can see all the assignments, the due dates, and that's because I'm in this materials section. The next tab is called updates. And when you click on updates, you'll see posts. It's a little bit like a classroom blog, and you'll see posts from the teacher of upcoming events or things that don't have, you don't need to necessarily turn in. It's just communication between the teacher and everyone in the course. Now, sometimes the teacher will email that communication to you as the parent as well and add it to the updates, but that's where all the updates can be in one place. So imagine other digital tools. If you're familiar with, Gmail, traditionally, we just send an email and it can get buried in a lot of other emails. But what the updates does is every time you're getting communication from that person, you can go back and see a running list of all of the updates. The next tab here will take you to grades. And so when you're looking in the student view, you can see how the student is doing. Traditionally, each classroom teacher is setting up grading categories based on their syllabus, whatever their classroom syllabus is. So if they have, when you go to back to school night in secondary and they're explaining their grading syllabus, this is how they've set up Schoology as well. And then within each of those categories, in this course, there's a category for classwork, grading, homework, quizzes, and tests. And you can see that they're weighted a little bit differently. When the assignments go into the course, you can see if there's a missing assignment or what was scored or any comments that the teacher had published for the student to see. And you should be able to see all of that in your parent view as well. So that's one way to look at grades. Another way to look at grades is to click on grades and grade report. And then you can see both courses that the student is in. And if you need to, you can download the reports or print them as well. So you would just click on it, take a look, and then download, and you can print them. So grades are all set up in here for you to check out. The next section here says mastery. So we have an incredible group of teachers in San Ramon who are working towards standardizing what mastery or standards-based or evidence-based grading would look like. They're piloting it. And if they're doing that, they most likely have notified you at back to school night or through other ways of communication. And so if that is the case, you'll be looking at grades in a different way than just clicking on grades. I will add that resource to the slides, but there is a short video that we have for parents to view mastery-based grades too, and the workflow for that. And then these are the members of the classroom. So all of this is through the student view. And if you're toggling in between, this is what the student sees, but when you go back to yourself, you'll see any courses or groups that you're involved with. Because like Chris mentioned in the beginning, we're just starting on this journey. And a handful of schools have started different groups for parent groups, for projects that people are working on. And some principals, mainly in elementary, have started using groups for a way that they communicate directly to everyone in the school. So this is where you'll go for that. And what I'd like you to do is check this out for yourself in your own Schoology view. But I do want to invite you to join a group of parents who've been accessing the Schoology training resources. So from your parent view, you'll click on groups, and then you're going to click on my groups. And when you get to my groups, it should look like this. And if you're in groups, they'll be listed here. But if you haven't ever joined a group, there'll be nothing there. And what you'll do is click on join group, and it will ask you for an access code. Now the access code is on the slides that I shared. So I'm going to drop it in the chat right now for anyone who's following along and wants to actually join the group in the moment right now. Oh, Joseph, thank you for putting that in the chat. You don't have a mastery item. View doesn't show the grades. I have to go to my daughter's view. Yes, the daughter's view is where the grades are, and mastery item should be there as well. From your view, you're not going to have the grades. You have to click on your daughter in that profile first. So I hope that answers your question. So I dropped the access code in the chat. And when you go back to groups, what you would do is click on copy, paste, and join. And now you would be enrolled in this parent Schoology group. And this is just a place for parents to have conversations. So far, we have 209 members. And notice that a group looks very different than a course. A course is built in like an accountability piece. A course for our purposes as a public education system, a course is set up for each teacher with the proper roster for each student connected to every parent. That's what makes it a learning management system. And the course is a place for teachers to build lessons and teach and collect assessments and keep it all in one place and show a student's progress towards the goals in the classroom. A group is more like considered maybe a social media type platform for a group of people. So in our parent Schoology group, we can add updates here. I can add the slides from tonight after here. I'll add a little update there. We can have discussions. So some of these, like I prompted the first one, but other people prompted the other discussions. So it just depends on how interactive you want to be within the group. But the discussions can be around different topics, and we can support each other since learning can be social in that way. And then there's also albums if we wanted to add some media. You can see who the members are, and then resource links here. So I can add the slides from tonight or the specific videos that show different things. In fact, I will probably do that after this presentation for you guys tonight. So hopefully you're able to join the group. The other thing that I want to just bring to your attention is sometimes you'll notice in this little bell in the top right-hand corner, those are notifications. So the way that I set up my notifications in the settings, that's where they will go. But I also have them sending it to myself for you know, an email. And if that's the case, I can just pretty much check there as well. But sometimes you'll notice requests. And when you click on requests, that's if someone invites you specifically and you need to accept it, you would go to requests. I just want to address Christina's question in the chat about using the mobile app. It says the code is invalid. Christina, if you could do me a favor and try this out on a web browser, I believe it should work for you there. The mobile app is a little bit limited in the features that it has, and it's actually not a product of Schoology. It's an added on app that is designed by another company. So it's really been helpful, but the interface of it isn't as smooth as just the web browser is. So if you don't mind checking that for me or let me know, thank you so much. I'd love to hear how that goes. But I think the mobile app has a little bit of limitations. So yes, I'll share the slides again. And there are other groups that parents can join. It just depends on your school and what's going on at that school. So another thing that you can do is click on your school and kind of see what's going on there if they're using updates. And then you can access other school groups that are people are creating and connecting. Now, like Chris mentioned, this has all been very new with the beginning of the school year. So as time goes on, we're moving from how to use it in the classroom really well to how to use it as a powerful communication tool. So that parents can be more connected, and we can really have nice digital portfolio of all of the work that we're doing in our community. If you're following along in the slides, Chris, do you have a quick
Yeah, I
question?
was just going to jump on that point that you were making, that, we're going from basic usage to one another. And I think Mr. Pitzer said it in a meeting last week that was really insightful, but, a lot of us are looking at this as a replacement for School Loop. And we've kind of got to turn away from that a little bit, as yes, it does some of the same things that School Loop, but we really want it to do a lot more. It's just a matter of getting there. We've kind of had that pop up a lot, and I want to address that and really double up what Kelly's saying, is that we've really got to remember that we're going to, hopefully, and in concert with our deep learning and innovation initiatives, using this to get there. And hopefully as we go on down the road, this will be able to do a lot more than just kind of these basic functions and replace School Loop as just a place where we're posting and messaging.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. There's a lot of potential in this tool, and I think that's what's exciting, but it's also created some questions on how to best integrate it. And that's what we're working on as a community. And I have to admit, it's also pushing some pretty powerful conversations around what do we value when it comes to teaching and learning. It's interesting how that all of that is coming together. And so we're really working together as a community to align that up with the strategic directions. The last thing that I wanted to share with you tonight, or the last two things, is just how to get support, because there's not like one way to use this. There's going to be questions that come up all the time. Certainly you can reach out to myself or Chris or Greg, but most likely, if you do, we're going to reach out to Schoology or our tech support. And so I just wanted to empower everyone to see this really cool feature. At the bottom of Schoology, if you click on the word support, and I'd love for you to show this to your students as well. We've shared this with teachers, and I share this in every training, because you can click there, and then you can click on Schoology Help. And that will take you to like a little support group. Or you can go to the Help Center, and that'll take you to some resources there. When you go to when your student is in Schoology and they click on this, there's a live chat feature where they can live chat and talk to someone at Schoology for specific questions. And so I just want to make sure people are aware that that's all there for you. And then this little blue circle is another helpful space. I call it like the Google search of Schoology. So if you just get stuck and you're wondering like, how do I create a group, right? And then you can search that yourself, and then they have a lot of different resources. And when you find the one that fits what you're looking for, or how do I leave a course group or name, it basically has these one pagers with already built in screenshots and directions that are really super helpful as we all like utilize this tool in different ways. So that's the Schoology support, but I also want to take you back to the slides to talk about the support that we have in San Ramon. And on one of the last slides here, after I share about Schoology support, I just added some resources for San Ramon support. A lot of questions that we've gotten is logging in and making sure that it's rostered properly. And you can email directly the help group there, parent IT help at .srvusd.net. And this was really slow at the beginning of the year. I just want to acknowledge that with the rollout of one-to-one and all of the devices and Schoology and setting up everyone's classrooms. We were a little slow on the tech end and getting those responded to, but now they're in about a 24-hour turnaround time. So that's where you can go for specific questions that Schoology can't help you with, but that SAN or MOAN can. So let me check this other question here. With School Loop, the vision was to have one place for all homework to de-stress from not knowing homework and due dates. Does Schoology have that same vision, i.e., can we be confident that all the homework is there? Thank you, Lori. That is a great question. I think you can. I do think that our community is still in different places with using it. For example, TK or kindergarten are using it very differently than 3rd through 5th grade, and 5th grade's using it very different than 9th grade. So it really depends on the class. But one of the things that we're working on is sharing the different facets of the tool for the teachers along the way to just kind of push aligning practices. So we spent the last 2 months talking about grading in Schoology and the different ways to grade and set up your grade book so that it aligns for when we have to put our grades in Infinite Campus. Infinite Campus is still our place where we have our final grades that are official for transcripts. But at the same time, now the next 2 months, our communication that we put out each week to teachers is around different ways of pushing out assignments and different ways of keeping all of the students' tasks within Schoology. So if a teacher is using that for all homework and classwork, then yes, that should all be in Schoology. But if they're just a little bit in their own development, still doing some in one way and some another way, then that is kind of on a class by class basis until we get a little more comfortable with the tool. I hope I answered that okay. If you have anything to add, Chris, let me know. Any other questions? I think, Lori, though, the bottom line would be double check with your teacher if you're not sure. But you can probably see when you look at your students' interface, the teachers that are using it all the time and the teachers that are using it most of the time. So with that, are there any other questions in the chat that I can address before we bring some closure to today? I am going to drop these slides one more time in case anybody entered late. I'd love for you to have the slides because there's embedded videos on a lot of the stuff that I went through quickly that you can go back and watch. And obviously a lot of links to connect you to the right people. With that, I also, we did a series of this webinar back when school started back at the end of August. Here's our November one. We'll keep checking in over the course of the year with more parent updates and communication. So if you have ideas for topics or support, please reach out to us and let us know how we can just bring everyone along together. We'd love your input on that. All right.
Well, last call for questions.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. We'll be in touch. Take care.